Hey everybody, welcome to Digi and May's Pokemon Journey! Episode
Hi.
5, about the 5th movie, Pokemon
Whoa,
Heroes.
Pokemon Heroes.
A movie I had never seen before today, so this was a deeply interesting experience for me, in a lot of different ways.
I took your Pokemon Heroes virginity.
Yeah, how many times have you seen this movie?
Probably 4 or 5. I did have the DVD, but I didn't watch this one as much because I would always cry.
Understandably, this is a sadder movie than the others.
For sure. Definitely more serious.
Whereas the Celebi movie was fake sad and gay and shitty, this movie's like actually a tragedy, a Pokemon tragedy, which is kind of ballsy to like actually make it a sad fucking movie, and it's funny too because this movie's sadder than Celebi even though it doesn't ham it up as much.
No.
Like Celebi's a movie that doesn't earn any of its pathos. It's like a totally boring, shitty movie, and then it has like this really like grim scene of like this dried up Celebi with Ash trying to feed it berries.
Yeah, it's trying to make you cry. It has like this one climactic.
Yeah.
Like climatic, but cry.
Oh, I see.
Climactic.
Climactic moment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. In this movie, they don't even play up the sadness. In fact, they seem to kind of downplay it a little bit.
They don't want your kids to leave the theater crying their eyes out.
Which they probably did in the fourth movie.
Oh, they definitely did.
But
it's emotional, man.
In this one, it's just genuinely a sad thing happens to a character you do kind of care about, at least. So
yeah,
but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Let's start with the
Pikachu.
The Pikas.
So the first thing I want to talk about with this movie in general is I'm going to explain to the audience what I explained to you earlier, the Xerox era. So in Disney history,
Rochester exclusive.
Yeah. Because Xerox
is from here. So is Kodak.
Yeah. So there's something called the Xerox era of Disney, and I don't know too much about this because I heard all this secondhand from Game Grumps. But basically in the early days of Disney, they were known for their incredible animation quality. Like, that's what the studio's sort of famous for, is, like, really beautifully animated movies. But they basically had a big slump for, I want to say, like, 20 years, from, like, the 60s through the 80s, where their movies just were not as well produced. They had lots of, like, just ugly frames, literally Xeroxed frames, like just stuff that was incomplete, and their movies were not as beautiful as they had once been. And this pretty much lasted up until The Little Mermaid like brought them back, or Beauty and the Beast. It was one of those two.
I wouldn't know. I've never seen The Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah? Good. It's boring.
I feel like all Disney princess movies are boring.
They are. But, like, everything from, like, 89 onwards in Disney is famous. And all the early stuff is famous. But the middle section, nobody remembers. Because that's when, even though, I know some people who insist that those are, like, the best Disney movies tend to be from the Xerox era. Like, the ones with the most interesting stories. Like, The Black Cauldron and Robin Hood, like, are supposed to be some of the best ones. But, yeah, So this feels like the Xerox era of Pokemon movies that we've just entered.
Enter the Xerox.
Because the animation quality was so much lower for both the Pikachu and proper movie than anyone so far. Not even that it makes them worse. It doesn't make the movies actively worse than the previous ones by necessarily. But, like, there is such a steep downgrade as we've entered the Pokemon is no longer a worldwide phenomenon era of the Pokemon films.
Yeah.
Because, the first movie was, like, a huge box office hit.
It was a box office hit.
Right.
Like, people who had no idea what Pokemon was were going to see the movie because they had reviews in papers, people were talking about it, it was all over the news. It made a lot of money.
By the time we got to Pokemon Heroes, this movie was not even a wide release film.
I made my dad take me out of school early and, like, drive, I think, to Pittsburgh.
From where?
From Easton, Pennsylvania. So it's like a 3-hour drive.
Jesus Christ.
It was the only theater in the state playing it, and it only had one specific showing, and it was like at 5 p.m. So I had to get out of school early.
Which I'm pretty sure is why I never saw this movie.
Yeah.
Because what really was like weird to me watching this finally was like remembering the time and place this movie came out, because this came out again on the downtrend of Pokemon's popularity, and also right as I was losing involvement with it. And I saw all the first 4 in theaters, and while I considered the 4th movie a disappointment, I did really want to see Heroes. It had Latias and Latios before, like they were in the advertising for this movie, and Gen 3 was not out yet. So this was a kind of an exciting, like, oh, we're going to learn about the next gen of Pokemon kind of thing.
That's definitely why I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
I was like, what are these fuckers? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I need to know.
And I know that I was excited for this movie because when I was 11, I made a magazine. Or maybe I was 10. No, I would have been 11. I turned 11 in the process of doing this. I lived in Florida. I had no friends. I sat all summer, and I had lined paper and a tracing board, a light board, and I would put Nintendo Power issues on the light board and trace the images out of them, and then I would like write stuff about all these video games. It was just a Nintendo magazine with all of its information and content derived from Nintendo Power. But because I was trying to make a proper magazine, I put advertisements in it.
Oh my god.
So I would have full-page ads, and one of the ads I created was for Pokemon Heroes. Like, I made an ad for this movie in my magazine. That was one of the, like, 4 things I advertised. One of them was my album that did not exist, but it was an album for a band I planned to make. And a few other things. But yeah, so like I know I was excited for this movie, but then it came out and it never came to any theater near me, so I never got to see it. And I think this is where the downtick happened, where I stopped caring about Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know, like this was the era where that movie didn't come out here, nobody's talking about the show anymore. I wasn't that excited about Ruby and Sapphire after playing it for a little bit, and it was just kind of like, okay, I guess I'm done, you know? The anime wasn't good anymore. Pokemon Advanced was fucking lame.
Yeah. What really killed it for me was when they changed all the voice actors.
Yeah.
That was like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
But I still played the games like a lot. I just didn't care about the universe outside of the games.
Yeah. So it was an interesting era, and I've heard of this. I've heard a lot of people say this is like their favorite Pokemon movie. Over the years, because it's sad and it's like kind of emotionally, it has emotions, you know, unlike the
real
some
emotions.
Of the others. And it is a tragic movie. But the reason I brought all that up is that, Pokemon was on the decline in popularity, and that has a lot of interesting ramifications for this movie, including the Pikachu short. Not only that the animation's way worse, but also for the dubbing. Because unlike previous films, which were full of like licensed artists' music, you know, like real music that was popular at the time, this movie just has like either songs from the TV show, or like from previous soundtracks.
A lot of the songs were just songs, like background songs, or like the opening
stuff from the show,
directly from the show.
No cover. Like this was the first movie where at the beginning when they play the OP, it's literally just the OP from the show. It's not resung by someone else.
The OP is pretty badass.
Yeah, well, I'm glad because it usually was kind of weird when they did the pop song version of it. But this one had the Pikachu movie, because each one of the Pikachu movies will have a song at the beginning as well. That's original for the short.
Song.
But we had like mainstream pop artists for the first few, and the last movie had a weird one, the Pikachu Peekaboo one.
But it was still poppy, like there was some budget going into it. It was
still like a fully produced song.
Yeah, so nobody knows who the person singing it is. Yeah. You know, they have proper equipment.
Yeah. This one has a song that's like
the Pokemon Hoedown.
Pokemon Hoedown, which is hilarious, but it sounds like something that was made in the 4Kids offices. Yeah. Like, it sounded like a song from a kid's show. Like, it was very childish feeling. There was no... this whole thing doesn't feel cinematic anymore.
No.
You said at one point that Camp Pikachu felt like an educational VHS you'd watch in school.
Yeah, it felt really dated. It felt like something you would watch from, like, the 90s.
The animation
and not in a good way.
looked so much more dated than it did in the like, we were just talking about how Pikachu's Peekaboo had, like, insane Sakuga animation, and it was very sleek. Like, there's thin, everything had, like, thin outlines and, like, a really pretty look. This one's, like, you could see the outlines on trees from space in the background, like... Everything's kind of ugly, and it even looked Xerox, like-ish, It looked weird, like, photocopy or something.
It was funky.
It was funky looking, yeah. And, like, sometimes there'd be moments where the animation picks up, but it's really inconsistent. There's, like, one little scene where there's, like, animation on ones, and it's like, what's going on? Why is it suddenly pretty? And then, I mean, there's cute moments even without the great animation.
Yeah.
But, like, it's such a huge difference. It is such a step down from what we've gotten in the Pikachu shorts. Like, I was talking before about how Pikachu shorts were Pokemon Kino.
Yeah.
And this is, like, an episode of the show.
The Pokemon shorts were meant to, like, show off the best animation and, like, pump you up for the show, for the movie. But,
and this one also, the plot...
It does, like...
is
they're trying to have a plot. Like, we're supposed to know, like, I feel like we're supposed to be able to connect the dots and know what's going on, but I had absolutely no idea what was going on. There was even narration, and I was like, wait, what?
Well, this movie, they bring back the Pichu brothers, first of all, who I guess must have been really popular.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone loved their first short. They had the Pokemon Channel short. I'll bet they're in some of the other Pikachu short films that were released not attached to movies.
Probably.
But the
There's
Pichu
a
brothers,
lot of them.
yeah.
Like, damn.
The Pichu brothers ride in. We are introduced to them riding on a train, and they are heading back to the city that they're from. But they fall off the train in the middle of, like, the mountains somewhere. And Ash's Pokemon are there. I don't remember why. Was there any reason?
They probably were just there.
I don't remember if there was any... Like, the Pichu brothers fall off the train, and Pikachu's there with all the other Pokemon that they've got for Gen 2. And at this point, I don't even know whose Pokemon whose. Like, we were sitting here going, like, whose Phanpy is that? Is it Ash's Phanpy? I think it's Ash's Phanpy.
We're gonna have a lot of that in, like, the next movies we watch.
Oh, there's gonna be...
We're gonna have no idea, like,
it's gonna get weird. Having less and less context. I don't even know who
some of the side characters are in, like, Best Wishes and shit.
It's
like the cilantro guy.
The gym leader, Cilantro.
He has green hair. He's an herb.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah. Is his name Cilantro, or
no.
is it, like, something else?
No, it's not Cilantro.
Okay.
It's similar to that. I don't remember what it is, though.
But I have no idea what kind of Pokemon that guy has, except for the monkey.
Mostly just that, and I think he gets I think he might...
Don't spoil it.
I don't remember. Anyway, God, Jesus Christ. His name's Dent in the English version.
No, isn't that one of the other ones?
No, he's Dent.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
His name's Dent.
I think his name in English is Dent. I could be wrong. Anyways, so these Pokemon, the Pichus get off the train, and all the Pokemon are just there, and then, like, the Pichus basically communicate to them, like, we fell off the train, we need to get to the station. But, I don't know, somehow my brain didn't, like, process
Mine
that
didn't either.
The mission is go to the train station, because immediately after this is said, they just kind of fuck off into the woods, and it starts playing a song called Camp Pikachu, which, by the way, there is no camp.
No.
At no point
there's
does
nothing
this become...
to do with camping.
No,
or
there's
nothing to
no
do with
involvement.
hoedowns.
Yeah, the song, the opening song implies that this is going to be like some kind of Western-themed Pokemon. The only Western theming is the train.
Choo-choo.
And it has nothing to do with camp. I think, like, they were trying to theme this, but there was no theme.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just on the dubbing part. I don't know where it came from.
I don't know.
but it is not themed, and that's why it's hard to follow. Because you get all this stuff about, oh, we're going to Camp Pikachu, and we're playing this weird country song, and then, like, they just kind of end up in the woods dicking around.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got a scene of them, like, playing in a river. It's cute. I don't know what they're doing.
Me neither.
There's a scene where they're, like, casting shadows on a wall for some reason.
There's a scene with a Duskull just fucking with Pichu.
They run into a Duskull in the woods, which Duskull was a new Gen 3 Pokemon who had not been introduced yet. So it was really shocking to me to see, because I think everything from Gen 3 onwards in my mind is, like, new.
That's a new Pokemon.
You know, so, like, when I saw a Duskull, and it doesn't help that the animation of this, again, looks like it's from the 90s.
Yeah.
So when I saw Duskull in, like, hand-drawn old school animation, I was like, what the fuck? Like, Duskull's not supposed to exist yet. I had thought he was like a Gen 5 Pokemon. I didn't even realize he was Gen 3. And then there's a Volbeat who looks he
looks racist.
Looks no better in animation than he did when we were judging the designs. Yeah. We gave him a 1 in our Pokemon rating series.
Out of all the cute Pokemon from Gen 3, why fucking Volbeat?
I have no idea.
Why Volbeat?
I didn't know he was Gen 3 either. So yeah, a couple new Gen 3 Pokemon, but this whole thing is just them dicking around in the woods for, like, a long time, and then they find, like, a shack where they're, like...
the clock parts?
We'll rest for the night. I think it was supposed to be, like a water processing plant or something. Like, you know, it's got a big turn wheel.
Like a mill?
Yeah, it's a water mill. But, like,
I couldn't tell that from what it was.
They, like, I guess this is the camp part, is that they camp out in this water mill, and it's got all these weird gears and stuff, and all the Pokemon are just kind of dicking around in here, and it's like wacky fun time in the water mill, and we were just like, what is this about? Like, I don't know. It's fun sometimes.
PSA, crack is whack.
Yeah, crack is whack. So they play around in this watermill for a while, and then eventually they make it to the train station. And then we get a big, exciting scene of them trying to get the Pichu brothers onto the train, because the train takes off with one of them on board, and not the other one, which is a pretty sad moment. You're like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh no, the brothers are getting separated! And they have this big, wacky train chase scene, which is pretty fun.
It's pretty fun.
It's a little ridiculous. Cyndaquil propels their little train car with
his fire blast.
Fire, and then, like, they all get sent flying through the air, and, like, Totodile water splashes one of the
water
fucking
guns.
Pichus onto the train. It's weird.
Yeah.
There's moments that are fun, but it's so hard to follow. So much of it is dicking around, and, like, this was the movie where I said, this is the first time I have felt like I'm watching a baby movie. Like, I really felt like this is made for babies.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand what's happening. And I know if I was a kid, I'd probably just be going, oh, Pokemon!
Oh, Pokemon.
And then as soon as I grow up, I go, what the hell was that about? Like,
yeah.
So, I think I'd give that one a 5. Because I ultimately enjoyed it.
It was cute. It was wacky and fun.
I would not watch it again, but it was not like... It wasn't terrible. It was just incomprehensible.
Yeah, I'd probably also give it a 5. I think that's what I was thinking, because I remember, like, I gave it a score when we were, like, watching. I'm like, this is what I was... It was either a 4 or a 5.
It was the kind of thing where every time something really cute would happen, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, and the cuteness kind of balances out, like,
there's
the
a lot of
guy... Because, like, the other ones are so great.
Yeah.
The other ones are, like... great standalone pieces that you can just watch even if you don't enjoy Pokemon. Even
the rescue one, which we gave a 6, like, that one at least is a comprehensible story.
Yeah.
Like, parts of it are kind of boring, but overall, you get where it's going throughout. There's maybe, like, one moment where it veers off course and you're kind of like, what was it? Like, why did we end up with the Gloom dancing? But at least it's a cool scene.
Yeah.
This one, really, I didn't know what the point was. I was just kind of sitting there struggling to keep up with it. And occasionally going, hey, cool, Duskull.
Did we ever figure out why General Robert E. Lee created the characters and the story?
What?
Remember we were looking at the credits and it was like Robert Lee. Like,
oh no, we did not figure that out.
Like, what is that about?
I don't know. At the end of the...
I don't think he created the characters.
For some reason, the upload we watched had, like, it opened with all this BBC.
It was like the British release of it or something.
Yeah, it was all
really
like
strange.
In accordance with BBC, and then at the end, there was like credits that said original creator Robert Lee, and we were like, what?
No.
Like, who the fuck? This is really weird. And no, I never got to the bottom of that. I didn't find any information in the very brief Google search I did. Oh, so that leads us to Pokemon Heroes.
Yeah.
And while this is a much better movie than the short, the Pikachu short, which is rare to say.
Yeah.
I think I haven't said that since the second movie.
Yeah, the second movie.
Yeah, that's this is only the second time that I've been like unequivocally this is a better movie than the Pikachu short that came before it. But it is also affected by the Xerox era-ness of this.
They didn't have money to make this.
No, like Celebi was a clusterfuck in production.
Yeah.
But it still was like a high-budget movie. Like you could tell that while the elements clashed, they were highly animated.
Yeah. I can see the Celebi movie being played in a theater. This is like a made-for-TV thing.
Yeah, this feels so much less big and...
It's not grandiose.
No. There's a lot more CG that is a jank.
Yeah, just like if you have a bulk of side characters or crowds, it's all gonna be shit CG.
And here's the thing. I want to say that in Pokemon's 2 and 3, all of the use of CG was because it looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, at the time, CG was seen as, like, something special that you wanted in a movie. Like, it made it feel like it was even bigger and crazier than ever before. And the stuff they were doing with CG was complicated. Like the flying machine in the second movie. That would be really hard to 2D animate.
Yeah.
But it looks impressive in 3D. Celebi was the first one where the CG started being used as a shortcut. Like, we gotta make all these trees break, so let's just have the same tree break. This movie uses CG the way that a TV anime uses CG. Lots of fake background characters, god-awful water effects.
That water.
Just it's not a pretty movie.
No.
Lots of off-model characters who are sometimes off-model for a whole shot. Like, not just in brief in the background, like, in the foreground for 10 seconds. I think that was a
majority of, like, the characters on screen.
Yeah, it was not pretty, man. It's a little above an average episode of the show, you know? Maybe not the original show is pretty bad a lot of the time, but, like, by this point, the show is at least decently consistent. The show's like picked up in quality over time, whereas the movies had a dip. I don't know if I don't think it stays this way because I've seen some of the later movies that look like proper movies.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like this movie was made to be in theaters in Japan.
Right.
Are the ones that are coming out also in theaters?
Yeah, they're all still in theaters.
Never mind, my idea is void.
I really think that, like, that's why I called this the Xerox era, because I really think, because I know Jirachi's like this too. I know Jirachi, which is the next movie, is shitty looking. So I really think this might have been just a point where, like, maybe it was because the scheduling was catching up with them, trying to do a movie every year. Maybe it was just that the popularity had dwindled so much that they couldn't get the money together. I don't know what it was, but this
probably
era
like
of Pokemon movies was not great looking.
No.
So this film takes place mostly in like a Venice copycat.
What was it
Venice
called?
clone. I don't remember. It was
like,
they had a name.
Like
it was
Ultima or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
Alsatia. I don't know.
Alzheimer's.
Albuquerque.
Yes.
It's set in Venice essentially, and the movie opens with this really weird like 3-minute backstory scene that's in a totally different art style
with no dialogue.
It
looks like a video game opening.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of movies that have done something like this, like where they do the like different art to tell you a backstory thing. And this one's like this Aztec-ish art, which
it was more like biblical,
which doesn't fit the theme of Neo-Venice. Or I keep saying I want to say Neo-Venice because I don't
know.
If
you like look back into like the Byzantine Empire, like I'm a history dork.
Yeah.
Like the Holy Roman Empire and stuff.
Okay.
Like if you think about it from being that old and it being like a Venice kind of setting, I can see that.
Okay.
Like that makes sense. The clothing they were all wearing was like very biblical, which made me think it was like in Rome or somewhere in Italy.
Makes sense.
I didn't think it was out of place.
Yeah, no, most of the production and design of this movie is on point, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did their research.
Yeah.
And did something appropriate, but it was definitely weird.
It was
really weird.
Jarring.
For a Pokemon movie to start off with like several minutes.
I didn't remember this opening sequence at all, and I've seen this movie at least a couple of times. And
it's a while before Pokemon show up in this sequence.
It was kind of like, are we watching the right movie?
Yeah, like it was a little weird because it's like a bunch of like people, I guess biblical style people, in like some like Roman looking town, and then like I guess it was not really clear what was happening because I was too busy trying to wrap my head around the visuals. Mm-hmm. But essentially, there's this father of 2 kids, a brother and sister. The father dies. And
the town gets attacked, and then the father's like protecting.
The father protects the town.
They're getting attacked by like weird gears and like.
Right, it was like
really
weird shit falling from the sky that was transforming the city. I forgot about that. I don't understand why it was so interpretive. Why not just show Pokemon destroying the city?
Yeah,
because we later learned that's what happened.
What happened?
Yeah, it was like Aerodactyl and Kabutops.
It took a lot of strange liberties with this sequence.
That's so fucking weird. And then like. So the dad dies and the 2 kids are orphaned, and then a bunch of Latias and Latios come down from the sky and turn the kids into Latias and Latios.
Which is never explained.
No, that is not quite what seems to have happened in the movie.
I don't think these started out as humans. I think they were like always Pokemon.
I mean, the opening implies otherwise.
Yeah, which is strange. Like
it's really weird.
What?
So it's a really bizarre way to open the movie, and it doesn't. I don't know how much. I think all that was really important about it was to like tell us that this thing has happened before and that Latias and Latios are brother and sister. Like that's the most important part of that, I think. So then we get into the movie, which I actually think is one of the better paced and like narratively coherent stories in these films. Like unlike the 3rd and 4th movie, which were both like just nightmare pacing.
It had a beginning, a middle, an end, and then a post credit.
It reminded me a lot of the One Piece movies, in part because One Piece movie number 6 also takes place in a Venice clone and also opens on a big race. Though not quite as immediately as this one. But like, this movie starts off with a big water race.
Well, it actually starts with like the villains.
Right.
Yeah,
I forgot.
You fucking forgot.
So this movie, okay, after the like 3-minute weird shit happening montage, then we cut to these 2 Team Rocket girls who are really cool looking.
Yeah, they're pretty fashiony.
Yeah, stealing
they're totally
a book.
Spies.
Yeah. There are a couple of spy girls stealing a book from a library. And yeah, it does the spy movie theming really well. Yeah. They like zip line out of this place into a fucking pink convertible, and they're all cool looking, and we were like, oh man, these 2 are cool.
Yeah.
And then their convertible turns into a fucking jet and takes off. Then we cut to Venice, where there's a big race about to happen, and it's Ash and Misty are competing amongst other people. There's a bunch
of other people too.
They're on like these little pods, like they stand on a little like buoy pod, and then they have a Pokemon.
They're like jet skiing with Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like if dog sledding was jet skiing.
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah. Which is a cool thing. Like, this was immediately better than Celebi. As soon as we saw that they were racing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God. Like, the movie's gonna start off with something. And there's instead of a Pokemon battle.
Yeah.
Like, every other movie, I was getting sick of the Pokemon battle opening. It's
especially because
like,
they were getting, like, shitty.
Yeah. Like, it peaked in the 3rd movie. They actually did an interesting battle, and it's like, we don't need this again.
Yeah.
The 4th movie's battle sucked, so this
one's really bad. They knew it was bad, too, because they only had, like, go on for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to stop.
So this movie, they have a big Pokemon race, which is finally an interesting way to open the movie, and it sets up the town really well, because we immediately understand this is like a Venice-style city.
You can see, like, all the important buildings and, like, what people are doing in their day-to-day lives and all the architecture just from, like, the side.
The setting is well done.
The setting is beautiful.
In spite of the fact that it has hideous lime green water.
It's like real Venice.
Yeah. Why? Like, I've never seen a fictionalized Venice clone that actually has disgusting water. Like, I think of Aria. I don't know if you've seen any of Aria or heard of it.
I've
Aria
heard of it.
takes place in Neo-Venetia, which is a Venice on Mars. And it's all about gondoliers. So there's a lot of them on the water. And, of course, the water's beautiful. And it's a super soothing, gorgeous series. This movie, the water is, like, lime green. Like, it's not just gross and brackish. It's, like irradiated water. It looks gross. Which is a weird choice, because you're watching the whole movie like, why are they...
It's like Lake Ontario.
Even that's not nearly this bad.
It's pretty bad.
So...
It's pretty green.
So yeah, we've got this weird... It's
not easy being green.
Green water... You look adorable. Weird green water Pokemon Venice, but they're racing around and it's cool. We are very quickly introduced to Latias and Latios. Like, they're around from the start, but they're like invisible and flying around the city.
They're fucking around with the race.
And then we've got the Team Rocket girls who are trying to find Latias and Latios because they apparently are the protectors of something called the Soul Dew, which is a gem that they want because it's pretty.
Yeah.
And they are just thieves. They just like to steal shit. So they're hunting down Latias, and Latias is
they're
taking...
like Giovanni's, like, spies.
Yeah, according to
they're
Team
elite Team Rocket peeps.
And they track down... Basically, they have these machines that, like, detect... it's like thermosensors, and apparently Latias and Latios have lower body heat than humans.
Yeah, because
so
they're fucking
and they can
reptiles?
I have no idea. They can disguise themselves as humans.
Yes.
So there's one of the... Latias is disguised as a human walking around. They quickly find her and, like, attack. And they've got an Ariados and
an Espeon.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Both great Pokemon.
The ditzy blonde girl has the Espeon, and, like, the conniving, I don't know how you would describe her. Whatever. Purple-haired fucking...
Yeah, I think they're both pretty...
Keck bitch.
They're mostly similar. They're both, like... evil spies.
Yeah, well, one's an airhead. The other one is, like, more manipulative. And
I think that comes through more, like, later in the movie.
I don't know. She's the one using all the technology, like, from
That's
the beginning.
true.
The other one's just like, I just want the gem.
Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't, like, parse their personalities enough throughout most of the movie.
I thought they were super cool.
Yeah, they are really cool, but I kind of thought of them as, like, one entity for most of it, up until the end. But, yeah, so these two, they're trying to trap Latias. Ash gets involved because he happens to see this happening. I kind of skipped over the ending of the race, but, like,
Misty
it's cool
wins,
stuff.
and then the boy who came in second place, like,
wants to
ride
fuck?
in my gondola.
Yeah, he invites her to travel around the city, but she brings her guy friends.
He was down to fuck either way.
Yeah. I should mention, while they're on the gondola, he shows them this, like, pendant of Latias and Latios.
Does that ever come back up?
No, it's just, like, a symbol of them. And Misty's looking at it, and she says, I'd love to see the real thing. I bet they're really cool. And then there's, like, 2 other scenes in the movie where someone just describes something as cool. All 3 cases where whatever they're describing is definitely, like, a lot more than just cool.
Yeah.
Like, cool always seems like a really understated word, and it happens 3 times.
What year did this movie come out?
2003 in the U.S.?
Something like that, yeah, right?
Cool wouldn't have been, like, a massive, like, kid's phrase,
You don't
right?
think so?
I mean, it would have been in, like, the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It feels weird that they're just like, oh, it'd be really cool. I'm like,
know.
cool?
It feels like they're
Wouldn't they say awesome?
I don't know. I don't remember what I was
Dope,
saying.
boss?
They probably wouldn't say dope. I feel like that's more of like a 2007 onward kind of thing.
Nah, man, that shit's bossa nova.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So the banditos are trying to get Latias, and I love this scene because the way that they are portrayed is just this very, like, they're so confident that they don't give a fuck. Like, they're not, like, very aggressive, you know, until they're fucked with. Like, the guy in the 3rd or the 4th movie was just this walking penis man. Like, he just walks around and is like, I'm a douche, and, like, you know,
I have an evil Tyranitar.
He's just always got that attitude of, like, I'm gonna fucking break you and stuff. Like, these 2 thief ladies, when Ash, like, is trying to defend Latias, like, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, oh, haha, look at this idiot. Like, yeah, you sure don't dress very well. We're just trying to prevent a fashion disaster. Like, they're just being really, like, kind of, they don't care because they don't see it as a threat. They're like, we're too good. We're strong. We know what we're doing. They're very confident, which is what ends up being their downfall.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love the arc of those two over the course of the movie.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, but they basically underestimate Ash's Pikachu, who in this movie is actually as powerful as it should be.
As powerful as they say.
Yeah, Ash kicks their asses and absconds with Latias, but then she disappears. You want to describe the next part? I'm having trouble remembering.
Yeah, can't remember.
Yeah, you go ahead. It's your turn.
I think what happens next is they are going to the museum.
Uh-huh.
And they see like all of the ancient Pokemon in the ground, and the guy's like, "Oh, this one is an Aerodactyl," and Misty's like, "It's a Kabutops, we know, motherfucker." Yeah. and then they show him the machine.
Yes, I forgot the machine was established earlier in the movie.
I wasn't really paying attention to the lore of said machine.
Yeah,
it had some like weird ass name.
This scene is it's an exposition dump kind of scene. But I would say this movie handles exposition fairly well in that it's not intrusive. Like, the city looks so cool that, like, you kind of just like looking at the stuff.
Yeah, like, the scene was more of just to, like, show off this museum than, I don't think anybody gives a shit what this guy's saying.
Yeah, which is funny because all this stuff will be reincorporated later.
Yeah, but you can catch on without, like...
Yeah, but, like, I forgot the machine had been established, Like, I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening. I was just kind of drinking in the scenery and enjoying a Pokemon movie, and then like later on it's actually relevant. So I think that's a good thing.
Can we talk about how hideous this dude is?
Yeah, the museum curator.
Oh god.
You described him how?
He looks like a character from Mega Man 64, like a townsperson. He is round. He has like strange non-Pokemon eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Is this what a white person is supposed to look like in the Pokemon universe?
Who knows? Maybe. Because everyone has Italian names.
Yeah, he's Lorenzo.
Lorenzo and Bianca.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know were Italian names.
If it ends in an A or an O or an I, it's either Mexican or Italian.
Okay. That's like a lot of letters. That's like a lot of names.
Like, well, all Latin, like, rooted names end in a vowel. Like, my name is Amanda. That is a Latin name.
Uh-huh. Are you allowed to say your real name
I
on the podcast?
don't give a crap. Why would that matter?
So wait, where's your name from? Do you have an Italian name? So to clarify for the sake of this podcast that you are Italian and that's why you know the Italian names and
I know a lot about Italian culture because I am an Italian American, but I've never been to Italy. I've never studied like Italian history. My name isn't a good example because my name came from like originally a play.
Uh-huh.
Where it was like a Roman play and one of the characters was named Amanda. But like a real Italian name like Bianca.
Uh-huh.
It's very Italian.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like other good Italian names.
Mario.
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's Italian.
So we are at the museum.
Like a spaghetti.
I don't remember. I guess they just go to the museum and hang out for a bit. Ash sees what he thinks is the same girl.
Yeah, and then, she like takes off because.
Yeah, and he like follows her.
I don't know why she's running away.
Latias is trying to lead him to the secret place. I think.
But why is Bianca like?
Bianca doesn't, because Bianca just thinks he's some weirdo who's following her around.
Yeah, but why did she leave in the first place? Like, I
don't think that was her. I think that was Latias drawing. Latias is the one who does the art, right?
No, that's Bianca.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, I don't know. In any case, see, this scene it's a trick scene because we don't know yet that there's a girl who Latias is basing her appearance
we don't
on.
know that like she's an actual person.
Like, we know that Latias is taking a human form, but as Ash is chasing her, like, it's been established that she doesn't make any noise.
Yeah,
like,
she can't talk.
She is not voiced. She cannot talk. So, Ash is chasing this girl, but then there's like a few little dupe outs, and at one point he's chasing her, and he says like, "Why are you running away?" And she says, "I don't know you." And so it's like, wait, why can she talk? And why doesn't she know him? But then he runs into her again, and she's leading him along and not talking, so it's obviously Latias. So Latias leads him around the town. I
think it's really fun that, like, Bianca and Latias have, like, different running cycles.
Yeah?
Like, Latias runs like an autistic person. Bianca runs like a normal girl.
Yeah.
I always thought that, like, that's how I could tell the difference.
Oh.
And also, Bianca has a hat.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I didn't notice the hat. I was just like, the whole scene, I was just like, what's happening? Because they hadn't introduced Bianca yet. So I'm just like, what's the trick? Like, there's obviously a trick, but what's the trick? Good job, movie. Yeah. You got me. Then we get to my favorite sequence in the film, which is just Latias leading Ash to the secret garden. Because we get this whole scene has this pretty good original song under it. Most of the music in this movie, there's like some that's from just the soundtrack of the show, and then there's some original songs. This one's obviously original for the movie because it's like Italian themed. Like, it sounds like Italian folk music or something. But it's pretty nice. But then we get to this scene of Ash going to like this beautiful canopy that's CG that actually looks good for the only time in the movie.
You thought that looked good?
I thought it looked good.
I thought I was like playing Zoo Tycoon and like walking into an enclosure.
That was the only time in the movie I thought the CG was like impressive at all. Maybe just because I like groves a lot.
Yeah.
But then we emerge into the secret garden area, which is gorgeous.
It is beautiful.
It's this really incredibly well-designed, gigantic, secret inner garden part of the city that looks like some kind of recreational park that I would spend every day at if I I want to know if this was based on a real place, because it felt so specific, like it was so big and so well designed that it doesn't feel like it could be imaginary. Yeah, like it's too good.
There's probably some like famous park in Venice.
I'd love to know, and I'd love to go there if it's real, because it was fucking beautiful. But so they emerge into this gorgeous location, and Ash is following this girl around, and then we get introduced to Latios in Pokemon form and Bianca, who both have a problem with Ash being there, but Latias is like, no, I'm in love with them.
Yeah.
Like, we have to emphasize, Latias is definitely in love with Ash. And this is not like reading into it.
No.
This is the text of the movie.
Yeah.
Latias is in love with Ash. Ash's first girlfriend is a Pokemon.
As it should be.
Yeah. So Latias is like way into Ash. She just wants to hang out with them and play around and have fun. And they have this whole scene of them just like chilling out in the garden having a good time.
Cute.
It's really cute. But then
let's just draw a comparison to like this playful scene to the one from the last movie.
Right.
With Celebi and fucking Sammy and
the gay scene.
Even before that, when they were like flying around and like they messed around with his hat. That was supposed to be like the buddy moment that we're supposed to like reflect on. I just thought they knew how to create a relationship and make us like them.
There was just more going on this time because Ash had saved Latias from these people, and that's like we have an establishment why Latias likes Ash. That's clear.
Yeah.
They have a long scene of hanging out. There's introduction of these other characters who at first are abrasive towards him, but then they, once Latias shows how much she likes Ash, these other characters warm up to him as well.
Yeah.
They hang out for a while. Like, this is a decently long scene of them all hanging out. Like, this scene is definitely way longer than the buddy scenes from Celebi. And
but they didn't drag on. They were, like, fun.
Well, at this point in the movie, I think we should also talk about how this movie just is the Celebi movie, but not shit.
Yeah.
Like, the plot is exactly the same.
Without convoluted time travel.
Yes, without a bunch of extra bullshit that didn't make sense. Yeah. Or just boring long scenes of nothing. Because, like, this movie is... Both movies are about... They open up with... We learn about a legendary Pokemon. That Pokemon is being chased by somebody and is in trouble. And gets helped by Ash and friends. And then there's like a part where they hang out and become friends, but there's a villain who we've got throughout the movie trying to capture the legendary Pokemon for some reason. And things come to a head when they do, and then some kind of cataclysmic events happens, and they have to put a stop to it, you know? And then the Pokemon makes a noble sacrifice to end everything, but whereas in Celebi, he just gets resurrected immediately.
Yeah.
In this movie, the sacrifice is real. So it's the same movie. However, they've cut out the extraneous elements, such as the dumbass kid, who the time travel idiot, who was a totally boring character, who had a broken gimmick, and who was apparently Professor Oak, which is just kind of insulting at the end. This movie cuts that out, and it's just about the Pokemon and Ash and the villains. And the villains are way more interesting because they have personality. They're not just some asshole who looks like Judge Dredd and runs around stomping everything. They're like kind of fun, and like
they're very fun.
You simultaneously like them because they're such fun characters, but they're also like doing some very bad things.
Yeah, their Pokemon are straight up hurting people.
Yeah, they attack people with their Pokemon, which is kind of rare in Pokemon.
Psybeam on Ash.
Yeah, it's very rare that you see like a trainer sick a Pokemon on a person in Pokemon. But they do that a lot. They actively use their Espeon to hurt a lot of people, and obviously Ariados to tie people up a lot. So like, yeah, it's they're bad people, but they are much more entertaining to watch than the guy from the fourth movie.
Yeah, because they have a personality and like they're fucking cool.
And an arc. They have a character arc,
they do.
kind of.
They definitely do.
And then you've got the actual Pokemon is like not only are Latias and Latios way cooler looking than Celebi, but they have a more emotional story. There's some background behind them. There's like a reason that they're supposed to be here and doing the things they're doing. You know, like what was the point of Celebi? He was just a rare Pokemon who some guy wanted to catch.
He's the voice of the forest.
But he's just a rare Pokemon.
Yeah,
like in this movie, Latias and Latios are protecting the city.
Yeah.
And like
it's a reason for them like to be in the story, to like exist.
Like they guard this soul dew, which is their father's fucking soul. Literally. It is literally their father's soul in a gem that is protecting the city, and they need it. They are there for that, you know. So like there's big stakes for catching Latias and Latios. The whole city will be destroyed if they can't protect this gem. So yeah. There's just so much better context into this film's plot, even though it's basically the same movie. And with worse animation.
Yeah.
And still better.
A lower budget,
just because it's
but
better
just
written
better.
and tighter paced and like enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because instead of starting off with like Ash and friends just like boating down a river to some place
to a generic CG forest.
Yeah, we start off with like a cool race through the street, the streams of Venice.
Yeah, it's like a fucking generic CG forest versus Venice.
And I should say this movie goes by pretty quickly. It's only 70 minutes long, and we're already halfway through in what we've described so far. Like, it pretty much goes, there's the race scene, there's following Latias around, then there's hanging out in the garden, and that's like half the movie. And it feels pretty quick. So then we get to where the villains, they've followed them in there. They've used their little machine, has taken their little camera robot thing, managed to find its way, which, by the way, the entrance to the secret garden was through an illusory wall, like a straight up illusory wall. So, but the Team Rocket girls somehow figured it out.
Did they show us like them getting into the wall?
No. They just show the robot in the garden.
Okay.
They don't really explain how it got there.
Yeah, they don't need to, but I was just curious, like, if there's another way to get into the park, or if you have to go through the wall.
So then we've got a scene where they break in by, they have their Espeon knock out the guard, the curator guy, the museum dude. In a scene that is staged so it looks like he gets killed. It's awesome.
Yeah. And he's okay. He shows up later. But
yeah, he's fine, but it looks like he fucking gets
definitely concerned about his well-being.
Yeah.
Like, imagine getting hit by a psychic attack. Like, what would that even feel like?
I imagine it just shows you, like, pictures of your mom naked, or, like, your parents fucking. Like, it's all just trauma. Yeah. It's a psychic attack.
Yeah.
It just, like, red pills you, and you can't take it. So they break in, and they've the two ladies, and there's a pretty dramatic scene of them detaining Latios.
Oh, it was fucking barbaric.
Yeah, like they really go in, and again,
there's no chill.
This is such a there's just so many better stakes in the scene because it's both pairs of characters we kind of like. Like Latias and Latios, we've had a lot of time with. To be like see their friendship and see like their brother and sister, and Latios is very protective.
Oh my god, I love that he's like the big brother, but I also hate it at the same time.
Why?
Like this movie's super sexist, but I love it.
He's older. It's not just that he's a boy.
Is he older?
He's like way bigger than Latias.
Is it just because he's a boy?
In the opening scene, then she was smaller than him.
It's just because he's a boy.
No, I think he's an older brother.
Probably
who's protecting his little
sister. I appreciate it, but I can,
You don't care about sexism.
I don't give a shit about sexism.
Don't fucking lie. So Latios.
Maybe I was hoping that Latias would die.
Latios is protecting Latias in this scene, and it's like we've already established he's a protective older brother, and so like we kind of have an emotional stakes on their side, but then we also are watching these cool thieves, and everything they're doing is cool because they're just fun characters.
Yeah.
So it's a great battle here.
The battle's really cool. They have like some awesome sequences.
Yeah. And like there's also a great communication between Latios and Latias where like it takes a second to process it because neither one of them can speak, but Latios is telling Latias to run. Like he's saying, like he keeps jumping in front of the attacks and saying like go, and Latias is like given like that I can't leave you, and he's like you need to leave, and it's like this is all communicated through which is the only noise they make. It's a little obnoxious.
Which makes it even more sad.
Yeah. So
it's like fucking dolphins.
So Latios and Latios gets captured, and the girls drag him off on their Ariados. Off to the museum where the big machine is.
It's Ariados.
And Latias flies off to go get Ash and friends. Reveals itself to them. And then, Latios is used to power the big machine, which the purple-haired thief girl takes control of. And this is where we get sort of our arc.
So the cage that they contain Latios in is the same one from Pokemon 2000.
2. And that, I think, is intentional.
Yeah, it definitely is, because in the credit sequence, they show a picture of the guy.
Yeah, like, these two girls apparently they are inspired by the guy from Pokemon 2000.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, we see them, like, reading a book with pictures of him and his collection, and they're, like, talking about stealing it in the end credit scene of the movie, which is really interesting. But, yeah, they're using the exact same contraption that contained the mystical birds. Latios is being used to power this giant fucking machine thing, which, when the girl gets inside of it, she basically has control over the city. Like, this machine is some kind of defense mechanism for the city, but can be used for evil. I guess. Yeah. And as she gets inside of this thing, having the amount of power that she does over the city, like, immediately starts corrupting her.
Yeah, she's corrupted.
Because all they're supposed to be doing is they just wanted to get the Soldu. Like, I thought they were just after that. Like,
I think they wanted to get Latios and Latias for, like, Giovanni.
Oh, maybe.
I think they wanted the Pokemon and the Soldu. But they
I know that the blonde girl just wanted the Soldu.
They said they were okay with just getting Latios and the Soldu.
But then, once
because Latias is weak as fuck.
Yeah.
It's not even a good Pokemon.
But once she gets in the machine, like, having all that power and control, she's like, I'm gonna take over the world! Because she's just, like, lost it. And even the other girl's like, this is a little much. I'm
not sure about this.
They had a little extra over there.
I just want my gem.
Yeah, so, things get out of hand. And she resurrects Aerodactyl and Kabutops, and fucking starts fucking up the city.
Sick 'em on Ash and
and there's a really cool sequence where she like she says like she's gonna shut down the city.
Put the city in lockdown.
Yeah, and so it just starts showing like a weirdly long sequence of
it goes on forever, but it's awesome.
It's just this really long sequence of like bars like.
And so the patterns that they go in are really interesting. Like,
yeah.
From an architectural, like, standpoint.
It'll be like, it'll show, like, an alleyway, and then, like, a bunch of, like bars come and, like, close it, but in, like, a cool pattern.
Yeah. And the pattern's always different.
Yeah, like every single time. And that's what makes it cool.
It's really neat.
Like, I'm just kind of mesmerized, because it looks awesome. They go really fast, and it's, like, just all these pattern bars.
Like, that scene where, like, Ash just jumps right at the last second, when then, like, the arrows, like, come out. Yeah. That blew my mind. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a cool sequence.
Ash could have died, and he was just like, I'm okay.
It's just so weirdly specific. Like, why put so much focus, both in animation quality and in, like, the time spent in the film, on this scene of just, like, bars closing?
Yeah.
But it's really cool, so I'm kind of glad.
It's really fun to look at. I think they're just like, oh, this is an opportunity to just, like, throw some cool shit in.
I guess like maybe they did some of it and like everyone involved in the project was like, oh, we need more of that. Like, that looks cool. You should do a lot of that.
It's dope.
And they were like, okay. Or maybe it's just somehow really easy to do so they could fill time with it. I don't know. It's cool though. So then there's pretty much just a long scene of like Ash and Latias trying to get to Latios and the control room and save everybody. Because Bianca and Lorenzo are tied up. Latios is powering the big machine. Latias has got to get in there and help him. So they're heading to the museum. And in the meantime, like, the crazy girl's just wrecking everything.
Yeah.
And eventually they do show up and they help them. They get Latios out. They save the people. And everything seems fine. Like, the thief girls... Now, here's my favorite part of the narrative of the movie... is when they save Latios, and it seems like everything's okay, the thief girls are sitting there, and, like, the blonde girl's like, hey, man, you got a little out of hand up there. Like, I guess we should skedaddle, haha. Like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And if this was a movie with a happy ending, this would be where it ends.
Yeah. They would just go. Even
before this sequence, there was a part where the machine had gone out of control, and it traps, which is kind of a scary moment, when it shows the girl who's all like, I'm in control of everything, ha ha ha, and then all of a sudden the machine, like, just shuts on her and fucking starts going crazy, and I was like, oh shit, like, it's kind of, like, shocking and dramatic, so it feels like a climactic scene. And then they come in, and Ash and they save Latios, and, like, the machine shuts down, and the girl says to the other girl, like, haha, let's skedaddle, and it's like, in a happy movie, this is the end. They save the Pokemon, the two criminals just fuck off, because, like, they've caused a lot of problems, but ultimately everyone's okay, so they get to leave. But that's not what happens. Because one of the thief girls tries to take the Soul Dew out of the machine, but it's already been corrupted. And when she touches it, it goes...
The machine goes haywire, and they both, like, get locked inside of it.
Yes, and then the machine's just like, I must destroy all human life.
Yeah, it, like, fucking starts wrecking the town.
Yeah. So
it takes all of the water out of the town.
Yeah, well, it takes all the water out of the town and then has it come back as a tidal wave.
Yeah.
So a giant tidal wave is going to come destroy the city, and, like, there's nothing anybody can do about it. So Latios and Latias, they fly out to the tidal wave, and Latios sacrifices itself to make the water okay, and it comes back to the city.
So at what point did he sacrifice himself? Because they can join into, like, a ball.
Yeah.
Like, Latios and Latias can join into, like, a ball of light. They go into the tidal wave, and then the light just explodes, and then you're taken into, like, this scene where you're, like, inside the mind of Latios and Latias, and then, like, Latios is, like, disappearing and, like, fading into the abyss. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
it's cool.
Like,
it's such a better sequence than the Celebi one, because this is the same sequence. Sure. This is the Latios is saying goodbye, but it's done in a very like it's gonna be okay kind of way.
Smiling.
Yeah, he's Latios is like, I'm sorry, I've got to go, but I'm saving the day, you're going to be okay, everything's going to be fine. And then he beam of lights, and he's fucking gone. He's fucking gone. He's dead.
That nigga dead.
That is a dead Pokemon.
Is that the first time Pokemon's died? Besides Entei?
Yes. Entei was an illusion.
But he was still real.
But he was an illusion.
Was Papa.
But this is a dead Pokemon. Well, I guess it's not... I mean, its soul is still around, just as a fucking rock.
Okay, what happened to the dad Latios? His soul is gone.
His soul's gone, yeah. Daddy Latios is definitely gone. His soul gem, his soul dew went crazy for whatever reason, and he's fucked off.
But what does that mean?
I don't know.
He was already dead.
He's gone. His
soul
dew's double dead. So Latios sacrifices itself, the water recedes, and everyone's like, oh, where's Latias and Latios? And they sail out, and Latias is brought to them on the back of a mantine?
Was it a mantine, or was it the baby of the mantine?
I don't know. It was big.
It was big, but I think it had to be a mantine, because mantine is like Gen 4.
Okay, so a mantine sails over with the Latias, and they get it, and they learn Latios is gone. But as Latios' soul is departing the earth, they use, because they have a power where they can share their sight. Like, Latios and Latias can see the same thing at the same time.
Twin powers.
And they can also imbue the people around them with this sight, which has been used a couple times in the movie. So at this part, they use the twin sight, and they can see themselves, like, leaving the earth. Like, they are a soul traveling up into the sky, but then it all goes black, because he's dead.
Yeah.
His soul is dead. But the soul has now crystallized as a gem, and they have the soul dew, a new soul dew to power the city. And they put it in the thing, and they're like, you're now in control.
I'm gonna cry.
Latios, your dead ass is gonna power this city. So they put his soul back in, and the two. Here's what I love about the arc of the two thief girls. They're still trapped inside the machine, and like we know, okay, well they're fucked because they're obviously gonna get taken away. And then in the credits, it shows them in prison. And I love that because there was that scene where they almost got away with everything, where it was almost because they weren't really like maliciously evil people.
They weren't trying to kill Latios and Latias.
No. But the things they did were evil.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of Pokemon 2000, the guy just kind of gets away. Like he has his Mew card and he's like, I'm going to start over again. And you kind of get the feeling maybe he's seen the light, but there's no punishment for him nearly destroying the world, you know, because nobody died.
Yeah.
But with these two, it's like, no, there were consequences for this. Like, being a greedy asshole and not caring about anybody else, like, even if you're not actively trying to murder people, like, there are consequences for being a dick. Someone died. You have to go to prison, you know? Like, the movie makes sure you know they did not get away with making you feel those feelings you felt. They didn't just get to fuck off, because you would be mad. You would be like, no, bring those two back and put them in fucking prison because they killed Latios.
They're adorable in fucking prison uniforms too.
Yeah, and it's and they're so like it's that simultaneous like I still love them. Like even after they're in prison, it's still like, oh, you dumbass bitches, like you great idiots. But yeah, they go to prison in the credits, and that's great. So that's basically the story. Now, on the one hand, I think it's a good story. It's a good idea, executed much better than the previous film. It's more emotional, but I wouldn't say it's like as deep as maybe the first movie, you know? Yeah. Like, it doesn't have that, like, gravity of, like, what the subject matter is.
Yeah, it doesn't have, like, this great moral or ethical, like, question, and you have to, like, think about, you don't really think about the world afterwards.
No.
You're just sad because Latios is
I don't know if I think about the world after the first Pokemon movie.
No, but I mean, like, if you're a kid, you're probably like, oh,
yeah, it's got something to say, at
saw
least.
The light.
And just the way Mewtwo's backstory was done just felt so much like so intense and like real. And the second movie is like a better like cool action movie. This movie has at least some emotions to it.
Yeah, I would say it does.
And it's well like scripted. It's well paced. But it does leave me with a lot of questions, and I think a lot of them have to do with the production. For instance, for the like whole last 20 minutes of the movie, the one girl shuts down the city, and like this whole part of the movie takes place at night, and there's this idea that she like shut everything down and like everything's barbed and closed, but like we don't see any people for this whole part of the movie. They're all
in bed like good boys.
No one is in the streets of Venice.
The weirdest part was at the end of the movie, the people, like, were looking out their window.
Yeah.
Like, they hadn't noticed the city was being destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, they just woke up in time for the city to be, like, brought back.
There's a scene of an Aerodactyl and a Kabutops, like, running across buildings and, like, crashing into them. Destroying shit. There's a scene of all of the water leaving the city and then coming back as a huge tidal wave. We never see anyone. Mm-hmm. And then once it's all over, they, like, come out of their houses like, huh? What's going on? Like, no one noticed any of this. Yeah. And so, like, stuff like that makes me go, like, okay, you know, like, this is a fun movie, but you can't take it seriously at all. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't really... The idea of, like, the destruction that could have happened is greatly lessened by the fact that no one even noticed. Like, the second movie actually sold us on, like, world destruction. Like, people are flying in on helicopters. All the Pokemon in the world are traveling. Like, the weather's fucked up everywhere. Helicopters crash out of the sky. Like, in the third movie, there's a big deal made out of the fact that Greenville or whatever is fucking getting... turned into crystal. People are all over the place. But in this movie, like, they just brush all that under the rug because they're like, that's not important.
Everybody's sleeping.
We just need to do the story, you know. I think maybe the story that maybe the destruction scene was too big of an idea for, like, such a small movie. Because other than that, this movie is very small scale. Like, it's basically just Ash following around some people around Venice. Yeah. You know, like. There's no sense of... It's
contained to one city. It's not like the world is in danger.
Until the moment where the one girl's in the robot and she says, I can control the world from here. And we're like, well, no, you can control the city. There's no consequences for the rest of the world. I don't know what the fuck you're on about. But then that was also in the fourth movie when the guy caught Celebi and he was like, I could take over the world with this. I've got the strongest Pokemon in the world. It's like, no, you don't. No. Celebi is not the strongest Pokemon in the world. Chill the fuck out, dude.
There's Mewtwo. Mewtwo's gonna wreck your shit.
Yeah. But, it's sort of there's definitely odd moments, and the production values do hurt the movie a little bit. Like, it is not a pretty film. No. And I think the production values were kind of what carried the second movie in comparison. Like, that movie works because it looks great and it feels great. The sound design's really good. This movie, the sound was bad. Yeah. For some reason, everything sounded really compressed. I don't know if that had to do with the upload we watched or the dubbing process or what it was, but the voices all sounded, like, really badly compressed and shitty. The music... was like leftovers. The ending song.
Oh my god. The ending songs, because like the last movie was just the Celebi song that went on for the entire length of the credits. Yeah. This one had like 5 songs, but none of them were, was it 3?
Yeah. 3 songs.
None of them were original to the movie.
No. You said they were all on the third movie soundtrack. 2 of them were from the third movie soundtrack and one was from like the TV show soundtrack. Yeah. Because it played
this is like music that has been recorded and has been promoted 2 years ago.
Right.
And, like, they didn't have anything else to put in the movie.
So it's not enough that they didn't have any new, like, because the fourth movie, we were joking about how, like, oh, they couldn't get any, like, real bands. They just made up some corny Celebi R-A-T-E song. They didn't even make an original song for this movie. There's not a single original song in the dub of this movie.
The extra tracks from the third movie soundtrack. Like, songs they didn't want to put in the movie because they weren't, like, good enough to be in the movie. It's
and
just,
they're totally irrelevant to the movie.
They have nothing to do with the movie because they weren't made for the movie. They were made for just to sell a Pokemon
And the
CD.
one they chose to play first is god-awful. It's this really...
And that's how they close the movie, too. Like, it isn't just that it's the credit sequence. It's the ending of the movie has this song in the back. It's like it starts when Latias kisses Ash. The song starts playing and you're like, no.
Yeah, I forgot to say that at the very end when they're leaving, Latias gives Ash a kiss. But yeah, it starts playing this really gay-ass, like... I want to say Elton John sounding song. Like, what were they going for?
I think it was supposed to be like soul. Polka soul.
It sounds like it sounds like a very, very cheap knockoff of a song that would win an Academy Award.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one of those like really like heavy emotional songs. The lyrics literally have like "We Are the World" in the chorus. Like what the fuck are you talking about? It had nothing to do with the movie. So yeah, that's again Pokemon Xerox era. Not just in the Japanese, but in the English dub. Pokemon wasn't popular enough, and it really started showing. Yeah. They got real lazy about the dubbing of this movie. But overall, I'd give this movie...
I'm giving it a 7.
I would give it a 6.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I gave the first movie a 7, and I didn't like this as much as the first movie. But I liked it a lot more than the fourth one, and definitely more than the third.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I've been waiting... I kind of have felt like... Because when we watched the first movie, I gave it a 7. I gave the second one an 8. I gave the third one a 5, and I was really waiting for something to fill in the 6th slot. Like, I knew something was going to be... I knew one of the movies was going to be my 6 out of 10 Pokemon movie, but the Celebi one took things so far down to the level of a 2 that, like, this was a big rescue. You know? Like, it was definitely a huge, like, oh, thank God, it's not as bad as the last one, you know? But, like... the production values being so bad, like, really did hurt it for me. Like, I think if it looked good, it would be a 7, you know, for me. But, it just looks so bad.
Yeah. Like, I tried to weigh it less on, because, like, I know they have a lower budget for this movie. It's not gonna be able to be, like, a visually and, like, sound-wise as good as, like, the earlier movies, but... I thought the characters were really fun, and I thought it was, like, a really solid story.
Yeah.
Like...
I don't know how often I'd watch this one, though.
Yeah.
Like, the first 2 movies, I feel like I could still throw on, like, any day and just totally be in love with it. Mm-hmm. This movie, I felt like, is more... Like, it was fun to watch once, but I don't know if I'd, like, pull it off the shelf.
Yeah.
All the time.
I had the movie and I didn't even do that. Like, I watched Pokemon the third movie instead of this one.
Just because it's so much less exciting.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like a movie. Like, the third movie, for all of its problems, still felt like a movie. You know, it had the epic soundtrack and, like, the really interesting, like, visual ideas, even if it didn't do that much with them. This movie just feels like a TV movie, but with a surprisingly sad, like, twist to it. Like, I like that it's a sad Pokemon movie. I'm really glad this movie exists. Mm-hmm. I just wouldn't choose it. Like, I probably wouldn't watch it again anytime soon.
When I think about, like, the best Pokemon movies, this
right.
isn't gonna
It's not
be
one of
there.
them, but...
It's not one or two, but...
But hopefully it's a sign that Jirachi Wishmaker's not as bad as we remember.
I don't think that's possible.
Because I remember Jirachi Wishmaker being really bad.
I'm really dreading it.
I'm dreading it too, but I know it picks up after that. Because I think that's the end of the Xerox era. I think it's really just, like, it kind of starts with Celebi, where the production starts getting questionable. This movie, the production's really questionable, and I know that's the case for Jirachi, because even when I was a kid, I thought it didn't look like a movie. But the one after that, I think, is Destiny Deoxys, and that one does feel like a movie.
Yeah, because they know what kind of budget they have to work with, and they're not going to spend it on, like, trying to get one song for the movie.
Yeah.
They're going to spend it on, like, trying to make the movie the best they can with the amount of money they have to spend.
Yeah. I'm not sure what point...
I'm just saying, like, they understand their limitations a little bit more.
Okay, you're saying they just got better.
Like, you can make a good anime with, like, a limited budget.
Right.
But if you're, like, used to having, like, $1 million, say, to put out a Pokemon movie, and then you, like, have to condense, have to subsidize.
Well, I know that changed...
They're gonna cut, like, something.
I think the first 6 are all from the same director and writer, and then after that's when they change. So I'm thinking what happened here is maybe the yearly production cycle was such a toll on the team making the films that's why they went downhill. Maybe. And then they all got replaced, and that's why they pick up again.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, interesting. I really would like to know more
I'd
about...
love to. I'd love more history, but the Japanese never give that shit. They will never admit what went wrong unless it's, like, a really small production, you know, but, like... I doubt we'll ever know, but I can speculate all day. Like, I want to deep dive all the careers of everybody involved, because I know it's the same director and writer up through Jirachi, and then it changes. And so, like, that says to me that they needed a change, and, like, they went, okay, this isn't working out anymore. Like, let's put somebody else on the project. Because, you know, Japanese directors, they'll stay on a fucking project as forever if they're good for it, you know? So to me, it says these people were kicked off, or didn't think they were doing a good job themselves anymore or something, you know? I'm real curious to find out, because I know it picks up right afterwards. Yeah. I know Destiny Deoxys is an okay movie. I've seen it and I like it. And I'm pretty sure that the budget and production of these goes up after that point. So this is a weird dip period. But we'll find out in the future of Digi and May's Pokemon Jam!